Sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
And tune into your favorite podcast,
where things will be misquoted
and opinions ain't sugar-coated.
'Cause DJ and Kelly are locked and probably loaded.
Hey guys, welcome to Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ and Kelly. I'm your host, DJ Qualls, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Kelly Blackheart. Hey, Kelly.
That is true. That is me.
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Great.
We played MASH.
We
just
did.
now.
We played
It was
MASH
really
on the
fun.
Patreon, and I hadn't played that since childhood and forgot how it went. Kelly, what's your life like?
Well, I'm going to be married to Carrot Top, living in a shack in Chicago. I drive a Honda Civic. I'm a writer. I have I have $1 in my bank account. I have a dog and 4 kids. So dream life. I couldn't have written it up any better. Honestly. What about you?
I live in an apartment. I'm married to my friend Josh. I live in Alabama. I have 4 children. $4 in the bank.
You have 6, actually.
I have
You
$6
trumped
in
me,
the
yeah.
bank. What's this? 3 children? No, I have 4 children, $6 in the bank. I drive a Cybertruck, which I think is the worst part of this. I'm a stripper, and I have a Chihuahua. It's a pretty damn good life.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
The thing is, when Kelly and I were recapping this on the Patreon, my brain could not accept the fact that I had $6. I was like, that for me is...
Well, that's just in your savings account. You could have 10
I mean,
in
at
your
least
checking.
you're married to Carrot Top. You know he is probably heavily insured.
That's true. And I also, I don't need money in my savings account if he's my husband.
And arsenic tastes like almonds.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't want a prenup. He's got $70 million. We're good.
He's rich, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like crazy rich?
Yeah, but he's a prop comic.
Yeah,
so.
here's the thing. I can't do that.
He looks
sorry. That is
just
not
reminds me of a
that
sleep
is
paralysis
not
demon.
my brand at all to be mean to anybody. So I would like to move on from this conversation. Anyway, Mashed. It's a fun game, but I play Mashed. So it's mansion, apartment, shack, house, and trailer because I'm from the South.
So you lucked out when I did yours because I didn't add the trailer.
I mean,
you got an apartment.
there
but you
are
could've
some
gotten a trailer.
double wides that are mighty
No, I know
nice.
there are.
I actually looked at a trailer today, like one of those, like the ones we use on set, to think about buying a small plot of land somewhere like in Tennessee or Alabama. I would want to live in it full time, but you can get one of those for like $40,000. And
yeah, there's this.
why would you buy a tiny home that costs $80,000 when you could just have one of those?
There's this girl on TikTok who her whole account is doing trailer tours because I think she sells them, and she's a bigger girl, and she makes all these jokes where it's like, and look at this kitchen counter, my fat ass can get up here no problem, and like, so she's just like really self-deprecating humor. But these RVs are fucking awesome. Like very easily you could live in them and live a really good life.
I found one for $16,000 that was made like 4 years ago. That was awesome.
They're amazing.
I mean, but the only thing I'm worried about is because it's not on a foundation. I'm worried about because the storms. When you get a bad storm, is it going to blow over?
No. And what bad storms are happening here?
No, I wouldn't get it here. I live in a luxurious...
Oh, you live in Alabama. That's right. That's
I live in a luxurious whatever that thing I like to...
They have hurricane straps. You can like physically strap it to
Oh,
cement
you can?
blocks. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hell. Let's go to Alabama.
Oh no, I don't live with you. You're married to Josh.
Yeah, but Josh is...
I live in my parents' basement, probably.
Josh wouldn't mind having you as a long-term house guest.
That's probably true.
Just get divorced from Carrot Top.
Yeah, I mean, how long do you have to be married before you can take half?
I don't know. You'd have to stay in California, though, because I think California's a no-fault divorce state, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I think they just do a division of marital assets, which actually is kind of good because I don't think that you should be punished for being a dirtbag. Hedging my bets.
Okay, do we want to do some email stuff?
So, guys, I watched, Isaac clips out our show. Sorry.
Isaac.
I'm thinking about marrying you because Isaac was one of my choices with his sexy hands, but he lost out to Josh. Anyway, Isaac clips out our show, and I saw our advice segment, and I really, really like giving advice that I'm unqualified to give. So let's do some of that.
To be fair, Kelly picks them and I
Oh, right.
She's the picker of the cookies.
See, I don't know what happens when I'm not in the room. I thought that you guys both disappeared and
I just shut off.
and then just materialized in front of me whenever I walk into a room, and I found out that wasn't true.
No, it's not.
I
There's
saw
a
Kelly.
lot of work.
I saw Kelly in a parking lot last week, and I wasn't with her, and I'm like, "How are you here?"
Me racking my brain. I'm like, you did?
No, I did not see you.
This one isn't advice, but it's just an email. DJ and Kelly, first, I love your podcast, which made me love DJ even more and get to know Kelly, who is super rad. From being friends with Blake Lewis, who is my favorite American Idol that season, to living a spiritual life, to simply rockin'. I want to be BFFs with you both. DJ, I met you and fell in love last year at SPN in Nashville, and I can't wait to see you in Chicago in a few weeks.
Oh, that's actually next week.
Next week, yeah. This will... Well, she'll probably have just seen you this past weekend when this comes out. Kelly, please tell me you're tagging along since you're from Chicago. I unfortunately will not be there, but she said, my friend Tracy and I will see you at the karaoke pre-party. Until then, keep spreading joy, love, and positivity. Best, Nicole. Thanks for listening, Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole.
And
That's high praise indeed, and we do not take that lightly.
Now-
And Carrot Top, I'm joking.
we had an email that I'm looking. We get so many fucking emails.
Do we?
From, I mean, these,
Are most
and
of
then
them,
also
are most of them about penis enlargement pills?
yes.
The
let's
majority
see.
of my emails are like that.
Okay, from Chloe Kiefer, she said, hey, Kelly and DJ, I recently asked DJ for advice on high school since I'm not the best at changes and recently started. And now I'm asking for advice on high school relationships. I have a possible relationship and I'm not even sure what to do in relationships as a high schooler now. Like, our actual dates now a thing? I had a middle school relationship, but that obviously wasn't serious at all. So any tips for a high school relationship?
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you're going to like my advice.
Is it?
Don't do
What?
them.
You don't do them? No, that's pretty good advice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a
So,
part of me that
this
says...
person is 14.
Yeah, probably.
You're probably a freshman.
Yeah.
Because I just did a
What are you doing listening to this?
I just did a cameo.
Okay.
And I talked about how I'm not good with change.
Yeah.
And how this is a change. And there's never been a single change that I've gone through that on the other side of that change that I wasn't like, oh, you know what? I'm glad that I went through that.
Yeah.
Or things are better.
Yeah.
Even when they're not better, I value the experience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I just went through some shit. And I'm a survivor. I lived through that. But high school is one of the great, certainly maybe the biggest transition when you're growing up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because everything changes. You're no longer babied and you're with people. That 4 years is so dramatic between 14 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to school with adults.
Yeah.
With children's brains.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I mean, I definitely had my periods of being boy crazy in middle school and high school, but I wasn't somebody who got into serious relationships. I mean, for the most part, most people don't end up with their high school relationship
very
anyway.
rare.
So what I would say is feel free to go on dates, figure out what you want and what you don't want out of a relationship. Crushes are generally just a lack of information. Like
that's good.
The more you find out about somebody, you're like, maybe not. And what I wish I knew when I was young, even through my 20s, is that dating should be about figuring out what you like about the other person, not trying to figure out how to make the other person
That's
like
right.
you.
I mean, a romantic activity partner is a great thing to have. Like somebody that you have little sparkly feelings for and you like doing things with. You like going bowling or to the movies or whatever interests you share. And I think at your age, or actually at any age, that should be a foundation of your relationship with the person, with your experience with the person who you're in a relationship with. You have to like being with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like hanging out with Ty. I like doing social things with him. And then he goes and plays Dungeons and Dragons, and we go to the movies. You know what I mean? So like we have our separate things, but I think it's very important to be friends first, or be friends with your partner. So you're kind of in a luxury spot right now. You get to see what you like, and there's no consequence to it, as long as you are responsible and understand the autonomy of your body and your choices. Mm-hmm. And don't ever feel pressured to cross a line that you're not comfortable with in any aspect of your life.
Yep.
And always make sure that you are vocal and you advocate for yourself because you are worth it.
Also, one thing, like I remember when I was in high school, my mom would talk about dating because like when I was in high school, generally people would become boyfriend and girlfriend with somebody without dating other people or anything like that. And my mom would be like, you guys do this so backwards. And I'm like, what? And she's like, why would you not go on dates with multiple people and then get into a relationship with somebody that you like the best? And I'm like, Mom, that's just not how it works.
Yeah, that's how people used to do things. Yeah. They would, hey, Janice, do you want to go to the movies with me on Sunday? My dad gave me $0.25.
Yeah.
We can go to the soda fountain and then see a double feature.
Yeah.
And they did that. And she'd be like, you know what? I don't like Hayden. I think he's a jerk.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out with Bobby next week.
And that is the way to do it.
And then all the men did this. I had sex with Janice. She's a loose woman. And Janice is like, you haven't even seen my ankle. You're a bad person. But everybody in the town believed Janice was a whore because it was the 1950s.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
I would just say don't commit yourself to somebody before you know that is somebody that you really enjoy, that you have a friendship foundation with first, and don't feel pressure to change yourself to be liked by somebody, because you can just find somebody who you are their cup of tea.
Yeah. And also this time, so you probably won't be able to internalize this until you're well beyond high school, but because at 14 you've only been alive for 14 years, that's an eternity. Mm-hmm. A year is a long time.
Yeah, time moves so slowly.
And then at 30 you hit a banana peel and you start skidding toward the grave.
Yep.
Like a year goes by in a blink of an eye, and every older person says this. Every person over 30 talks about how, I can't believe I was 20 10 years ago.
Yep.
But it's true. And the comforting thing about that is that everything that's happening to you right now is temporary. You're not going to remain in this school forever. Mm-hmm. You're going to go and find yourself and find a job or find something that fulfills you and make yourself happy. So just try to not let it affect you too much if it's not exactly what you want right mm-hmm. now. And don't bend your will.
Yeah, focus on your happiness. What makes you happy?
Yeah.
There's another young person. Hey, I have a question for you guys about bullying. Did you guys ever get bullied when you were in school? And if so, what did you do about it? And if not, what would you recommend I do about it? The same person has been making fun of me since 7th grade. I'm now a freshman. DJ gave me some great advice. But I forgot to mention this. So maybe it's the same person. So dealing with bullying too.
Oh yeah.
Bullying's hard because there's what do you do about it? It's like
it's almost here's the thing, it's almost impossible to do stuff about it because it's such a double-edged sword. Because first of all, I was bullied, and the thing about when you are bullied, the worst part about it is other people seeing it, mm-hmm. because you're embarrassed that other people are seeing you treated this way, and you're worried that that's how you're going to be perceived, and other people will start doing it, right? I think kids will always be kids. I think kids are pretty cruel because humans are cruel, mm-hmm. and we have to be socialized out of that because we are animals, and we have to be socialized out and being taught kindness. We have to be taught all that stuff, mm-hmm. and because so much of the messaging we get is we should knock them out, be bigger, and blah, blah, blah. And the person who's the strongest wins. And I think for the first time in human history, we're now in a situation where it's not always the strongest, the best looking. It's the most intelligent or the most creative or the most forward thinking. Like, we are not that far from the cave in our evolutionary path. Yeah. Like, the last 2,000 years, things have changed profoundly. And the last 50 years, things have changed probably more than they did 300 years before that. We live longer, mm-hmm. and we have different values as a species as what is profitable for the species. What am I talking about?
Bullying.
Oh, bullying.
I think one of the best things that I can say is to take the power away is to not show them that you're affected by it.
Don't engage.
I do this with my nephews all the time, like when they're taunting each other or instigating things. Bullies love the satisfaction of knowing that they've gotten to you. Right. And so what I tell them, I'm like, stop reacting to it. He'll stop if he doesn't think that he's bothering you.
Because he's not getting rewarded anymore.
But, and that doesn't necessarily mean that these bullies at your school are going to stop. But what you can keep within you is that they're fucking losers.
Yeah.
And nobody who is cool is
almost
unkind.
Without fail, a bully peaks in high school.
Yes. Oh, 1,000%. Like
because
these are going to be the people that
you're
you
not
look back
going to do well in life. And also,
you might become the president.
If you are listening, exactly. If you are listening to this out there, the odds that your life's going to turn into shit because of the mindset you have is that you have control over this small little moment in time, this small little piece of the world. The moment you leave that protected environment, the world's going to kick your ass, mm-hmm. and you're not going to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
I'm looking straight down the barrel of the camera when I'm saying this too.
Yeah, if it helps you at all to know these are the types of people who are so intensely insecure with themselves that they feel like they need to do this to somebody else to show superiority or to make themselves feel cool. So if you can keep that little nugget in your brain and not let it affect you, because I mean, there are so many sad stories now about bullying and what it has driven young people to do.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that teachers and parents aren't doing more about it. And I know teachers have a lot on their plates as is, but parents are not getting involved as much. They're like, oh, they're just kids. Well, it's like, no,
I would hope that we're better than we were about that, because we used to do kids are just being kids, but
Yeah.
now I think we're looking more about mental health, but obviously it still happens. I think if you can ignore it, that is your best thing. But if you are being physically threatened or harmed, you owe it to yourself and others to tell on this person, because do not take physical abuse from anybody. And if the emotional abuse, if you can ignore it, then you also talk about it. But if you can't ignore it and rise above it and try to extricate yourself from a situation, that is the path of least resistance in this. I think lay down flat in a tornado or whatever, and hopefully it'll pass you by. Well, it will definitely pass you by.
yeah, we saw Twisters.
Yeah,
too.
if you're standing up, you're probably going to get sucked up into it. A man who's in a swimming pool did not fare well because he couldn't lay his ass down. Lay your ass down. But I'll end this little advice segment about bullying by asking you this question, Kelly. Do you know who Steve Parsley is? Mm-mm. Exactly. That's my high school bully.
Damn.
Never heard of him.
Got him.
Exactly. And here's the thing, Steve.
Because he's a fucking loser.
I forgive. Here's the thing.
You can forgive him, but he could still be a fucking loser.
It probably is, though, because I also haven't heard of him. But here's what I think. I think as an adult, the sad things that bullies don't realize they're doing is that you hold on to this. People hold on to this a lot of times for their whole lives.
Yeah.
And that's how they feel about themselves. And they're angry that this happened. They're angry. They're embarrassed their whole lives. I've released that. And it's the first thing I ever was conscious of releasing when I realized that I'm holding a 16-year-old responsible for their behavior. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, wow. And they don't remember this anymore. And I'm holding myself locked in these moments. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I released it. So, Steve, I forgive you. And I hope your life did turn out well, although I have my doubts.
All right. We got, okay, this is from Instagram. I know relationships are supposed to be hard, but how do you regain trust after going through hard obstacles?
Oof, that is tough. See, I'm the wrong person to answer this because I have always been this person. When we break up, we ain't getting back together.
Yeah.
And
but if they haven't broken up, they've just gone through some things. This is what I think. There's this line that people use where it's like relationships are hard and you're supposed to go through hard things together, blah, blah, blah. The hard things in your relationship are not supposed to be what you two are doing to each other. They're supposed to be events that are outside
life
of your
stuff.
relationship that you are able to work through together. If the hard obstacles in your relationship are because of your partner, get the fuck out. Don't try to regain trust with somebody who keeps breaking your trust. That is not why relationships they're not supposed to be hard. Life is hard, and maintaining relationships through hard parts of your life can be difficult because you may need more or less or whatever it is. But if the obstacles are what somebody else has done or is doing to you, get out.
Divorce is there for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of divorce. You should not have to be responsible your whole life for a decision.
Yep. Boom. All right. This person says, I wonder if it's the same person. Getting married soon. Fiance wants strippers at the bachelor party. Should I get them for mine?
Do you want them? If you want them, get them. Here's the thing. I think there should be a red flag in your mind about tit for tat. Mm-hmm. If you don't want them and find no good reason why he shouldn't have them, then don't get them. Just to like, you did it, now I'm going to do it. That's dangerous territory to get into.
Yeah.
It could extend to, well, you cheat on me, I'm going to cheat back on. That's not going to lead you anywhere you want to be.
I also don't find any pleasure in male strippers.
I find it all fucking weird.
I had a friend of mine from college, her first wedding, she had a bachelorette party and got male strippers, and it was just like at her parents' house because they have a big old house. And so the stripper comes over. he's giving everybody lap dances, and I'm like sitting at the table in the kitchen because I want no part of it. He's also like 5'6". I'm half a foot taller than him.
He probably has a giant penis.
He starts like party boying over to me, and I go, "Step any closer, I'm gonna cut your dick off." And then he party boys back.
Show me how a party boy, how people party boy.
He was just like skipping and like
this.
Yeah, and then he starts, and then
like Night at the Roxbury or some Saturday Night Live.
Kind of. It had a little bit of a little pep in the step. So I tell him I'm going to cut his dick off, and he party boys backwards. And then he ended up going into the bathroom with one of the girls, and I think forced her to suck his dick. Like, it was crazy. And then he left, and he forgot his tip bag or whatever. I guess it had gotten like, when he took his bag off, it fell.
That's a major
and went,
fail for a stripper.
Went under the dresser or whatever. Well, it gets crazier. So then the next morning, we get a call from the stripper company, and they're like, "So we heard the story about what happened from our dancer last night, and my friend didn't want to deal with it." Like, I used to pretend to be people's lawyers and stuff like that. I'm like, "Give me the phone, I'll talk to them." So they say that the stripper told the company that her brother and his friends came home early or something like that and were threatening to kill him with baseball bats and stuff like that, and they stole his bag of tips and all of this stuff. And I was like,
did he get his bag of tips back?
No, we didn't even know where it was, like, at this time, because it had shuffled underneath a cabinet or whatever. And so I was like, none of that happened at all. Like, there were no men at this party, first of all. Second of all, nobody would even do that. And so this guy had been like trying to frame us because he couldn't find his bag of money. And I was like, this is all bullshit. Like, you're going to have to call the cops or something. I don't know what to tell you.
Did the stripper company call the cops?
No, because there was no basis. Like, even her mom had been there and was like, "This is crazy.
Can you imagine that 911 call?
We're being accused of something that didn't happen." Anyway, the next day we found the bag of tips, and we just kept it because we're like, "Fuck this guy."
Was it a lot?
No strippers. I don't know. It was a couple $100 probably.
But that in the 70s, that was a lot of money.
Yeah, this was 2008, 2009.
I was fucking with you.
Let's see. Oh, this one's cute. Love your friendship. What's your favorite thing about each other?
I love how patient you are. I love that you always take the other side. Like, if I'm bitching about something or bitching about someone, not always, but if you see, you're like, "Well, I don't think you're thinking about that," or you help me
different perspectives.
Yeah, that perspective helps me reorient my thoughts sometimes. And if I just want to be agreed with, I would say, "Just agree with me right now." You know what I mean? But that's usually not the case. I'm really not that person. It's annoying sometimes when somebody gives you an alternate perspective, but I appreciate it. I like that about you. I also like how gooey you are. You're very soft and cry very easily, and I think that's endearing.
Yeah, you made me cry the other day.
Yeah.
I had just gotten out of that head massage, and I see your text, and you had sent me like a really nice text, and I just started bawling. I was like, my head hurts.
You couldn't come down to the haunted house, and I was like, "I just want to tell you how loving and thoughtful you are." And
yeah, that was really nice. I mean, I have a million different things I love about you. You're so smart and funny and kind and generous, and you're a really loyal friend, and you have taught me how to...
I would plant evidence for you.
yeah, I think so. You have taught me to like stand up for myself and care more for myself. Like, I'm very...
I ain't nobody's hoe.com.
In the same vein of me giving you perspective, you give me the perspective of like, "Hey, that what's being done to you right now isn't cool." Because I like to justify things for people, and you give me permission to be pissed off about the way I've been treated or am being treated.
And if you want to know exactly what those things are, subscribe to the Patreon.
We'll do a fucking list. Okay, this person says, "What advice do you have for handling toxic coworkers?"
Ooh, that's hard.
That's really hard.
It's really hard. Planning evidence.
Yes.
Tweeting that they did something awful.
You got to find the people. You got to find your tribe at work so that at least you can gripe about things.
I mean, that's a lot of it is, if you can't change the behavior, you need a group to turn to and do this, right?
Yeah.
Right. There's so much value in that. I have a very good friend who only wanted one child. And she had 2 children because she realized she wanted, at some point, that child was going to have to do this. Mom is crazy.
Yeah.
And you need somebody to say that to so you don't feel crazy. And so a sibling was her answer. So these people have each other their whole lives doing this. Yeah, they're out of their minds during that period, or they're really great. You know what I mean? But you need a compatriot. You need a sounding board.
Yeah, I just had a full text conversation with I have a group chat with some of my cousins, and we've titled it Cool Cousins, and it was us griping about one of our other cousins who's gone absolutely insane. And
Is it Vanessa?
no, I don't have a cousin.
Is it
named-
Candace?
No, I don't have.
I'm making these names up.
Yeah. But the one who started it to tell us like what was going on, she's like, God, I'm so glad I texted you guys because I was feeling insane for a second, and I'm glad to have like real normal responses and all that stuff. It is, you need people to be able to gripe with. And like my last year at the TV show, I had a new boss, and she made my life hell. And luckily I had Jack and Luis.
Was
and
her
all
name
that
Janice?
stuff. No,
I want it to be Janice.
it could be.
Okay, perfect.
She dressed like a circus tent.
Oh, I remember this person. I think you guys were telling me about it at the costume party.
Yeah, it's just, she really made my life miserable. How do you approach hard conversations with friends? Kind of in this.
Yeah.
Friends are easier, obviously, because coworkers, you're stuck with them, and they are probably not likely to change their behavior, especially if you don't have any relationship with them.
I think it's easier with friends because if you have trust, it's in. I mean, you can't. I think it's also in the approach. But if you say this to a friend, okay, you're doing this thing, and I'm not sure you're aware that you're doing it, or this is how I feel about this thing, or this is how it makes me feel. Ty's very good about that. Like he has approached it like this. Okay, so you do this, and if you know that you're doing it and you're okay that you're doing it, cool. I'm not going to ask you to change your behavior. But if you're unaware that you're doing it, I want you to know that you do this thing.
Right.
And sometimes the answer is, oh my God, I do that. Or most of the time the answer is, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not who I want to be. Oh my God. And the behavior stops.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's this. Actually, I'm not doing that. That's a you thing. You're projecting that onto me. That is not what I'm doing at all. And both are right.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important to talk things out. Remember that time I invented therapy? Mm-hmm.
That was a good day.
Yeah.
July 24th, 2024.
Yeah, I think it is very important to talk about your feelings.
Yeah, it makes such a huge difference when you have a relationship where, like you said, where there's trust, because there are things that you could say to me that I wouldn't be offended by, but somebody else who I maybe think has an issue with me, if they said the same exact thing, it would offend me.
Like
because I'd be like, this isn't coming from a place of love.
You'd be like this. And then he asked me, why are you so poor?
Yeah.
And I'll be like this. Well, did you answer him? Because I want to know too.
But the close friends that I have, we have those relationships where it's like they know that there's never a time that I would ever be bringing something up in order to hurt their feelings, and vice versa.
So that's the thing. The safety of it allows you also you can hear it and also be objective about it and be able to do this. Oh my God, I am. Or sometimes be objective enough and not hurt by it to do this. I think that you're reading that wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm actually doing that. Can we talk about that? But you get your feelings hurt when there's not trust.
Yeah, and it's immediately defensive.
Yeah.
So I think also in any type of tough conversation that you're going to have, it's really important to frame the complaint. Let's say it's a complaint the right way, right? It's using I statements. I try to be really good about that. Like, I feel like every time this happens, this is what goes on, as opposed to like, you always do this thing. Right. That... Because the minute you say you to somebody,
and usually that's meant to wound.
Yes.
There's some feelings involved. Also, I think that timing is a big deal. If you're already in a stressful situation, or you're arguing about something else, it is not the time to broaden the scope of that argument to address something else.
Oh God, that's like
it's gasoline.
That's my pet peeve.
It's gasoline on a fire. You're not arguing about what you're arguing about. It's also meant usually to wound. I find you have to approach these things in calm, neutral things. Write it in their birthday cards. Like you have to find very.
Here's a $20 gift card. By the way, you fucking suck.
Send a singing telegram.
A stripper.
Book them that scalp massage that Kelly got.
Yeah. Like, actually, I think this was revenge.
If you can't address it, just book that scalp massage for them.
Yeah, that's such a pet peeve of mine when I address something with somebody and they're like, well,
what about
remember that time a year ago that you did this thing? I'm like, you didn't bring it up then. How was I A, supposed to know that you had an issue with that, and B, how is that relevant to this conversation?
It's whataboutism.
Yeah.
And that anytime somebody says what about and they're not doing the issue, they're talking about the issue at hand, it's defensive.
Yeah.
And they probably know that you are in the right. And they're trying to justify those actions by, well, let me tell you what I have on you.
I don't really understand why people are so hesitant to apologize. Like I don't know.
It's really easy.
I don't know if we've talked about that on here, but like I'm a quick apologizer because my intentions are never to hurt people. Like even people I don't fucking like, I still really think about the way that I communicate to them and make sure that I am not digging at them or doing anything like that. Yeah. So when somebody brings something to me
we don't want to be somebody else's bad memory.
Yeah. So when somebody brings something to me where I've hurt them inadvertently, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That is not at all what I wanted to happen. Here, let me explain this more and what I meant by this thing or whatever. But it is so weird to me that some people, they view apologizing as some sort of like admission of guilt. Yeah. It's like, well, if I say sorry, then that means that I did this thing on purpose. Right. It's like, no, that's not what that means at all.
But definitely don't qualify an apology like this. Well, if I did that, or I'm sorry that
you felt that way.
Felt that way about the thing that I definitely 100% did. That's not an apology. Here's a tip for sociopaths. If you are the most selfish person in the world, unfeeling and feel, why should I have to apologize because when they got their feelings hurt? I want to give you a tip about how to be successful in life. Just lie. Apologize. It absolves you of so much stuff. You get out of stuff so quickly, and it also takes them off their guard so they're easier to rob. You heard it here, folks.
That being said, for the non-sociopaths, if somebody an apology is changed behavior, a real apology is changed fucking behavior. And I have been in situations
you can't be punching somebody in the face while you're apologizing.
Where people
to them.
are quick to apologize and go right back to doing the same exact fucking thing. And I'm like, you have never been sorry a day in your fucking life.
I'm sorry that I cheated on you. Let me just finish fucking this person and I'll be right out.
I'm inside her right now. Can we deal with this later?
But what if you don't agree with the reason they want you to apologize?
Well, that's not the same issue. The thing is, you can say this, I don't understand that. But that's what I'm talking about. A trusting relationship is you're allowed to do this. Either you feel like, oh my God, I am doing that. Or you explain to them your perspective, like, I don't see it that way, and I don't want to hurt you because of the fact that I don't. But you can be sorry that you're in the situation, but it's approach.
Yeah.
But doing this, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. That is passive aggressive. I just saw. Well, I'm not talking about Canadians.
I'm trying to think of. Oh, go ahead.
I just saw some Canadians on Instagram in a clip, and they were like, this British guy's like, so what's your biggest pet peeve? And this girl's like, I hate Americans. And
that's what they said to me when I lived in Canada.
And he was like, why? She's like, because the way they gesticulate and they're loud and they're rude, and Canadians are nice. And I'm like,
that's actually literally exactly what the classroom lunch supervisor said to me when I was in 4th grade.
Yeah, being polite and being nice are not the same things. Being kind and being polite are not the same things.
Being kind and being nice are not the same thing.
Just because you raising your pinky on your other hand while you're punching me in the face does not make you nice. It makes you polite. It actually makes you low class because that's not a thing that you do. Raising your pinky is very low class. Don't do it. But yeah, there is this thing. You know who taught me that? A Canadian, Josh Jackson. He taught me that we were talking about. He was like, I don't care if people think that I'm nice, and I'm like, well, you don't want to be perceived as nice? He was like, no, I want to be perceived as fair and kind. Mm-hmm. But the idea of nice is a completely surface quality that could mean I'm a hypocrite, that I'm passive aggressive. And it really changed my ideas about nice and polite. They're not the same thing.
You're nice and kind.
Yeah. Nice and
Yeah,
kind.
kind heart is doing the right thing, doing the thing that is fair. and all
nice.
that stuff.
Nice and polite. You could be doing this.
Well, nice and polite are essentially the same thing.
Being genuine, like
Kind.
Yeah, but being polite is raising your pinky while you're punching somebody. Well, bless your heart.
Yeah.
That's being polite. That's passive aggressive.
Yeah,
That's not.
That's what we were talking about in maybe a couple episodes ago, where I was saying that's kind of how I felt like the Midwest was, where it's everybody is taught to be polite and nice and stuff like that, but a lot of my friends didn't show up for me when I really needed them, whereas my friends here would jump in front of a bus for me.
Yeah.
And that is because I've chosen people as opposed to being friends out of convenience or because we live in close proximity
That's
and
what it
stuff
is.
like that.
Your selection is people that you happen to be geographically close to
Yeah.
because you are in school together.
Yeah.
Or on the same team or whatever. That is the beautiful thing about aging. Yes, your knees are going to pop one day and you're going to have trouble digesting raw vegetables and all those things that happen. You're going to get eye wrinkles and all that stuff, but you will have a more secure sense of self and a more profound friend group because you're not limited to the people you happen to be around.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the best parts about really getting to know yourself and figuring out what you want in life. It's a lot of people claim it's one of the worst things is your friendships start falling off, but there are so many people that are not going to grow with you. And when you're young, whether it's high school or in your 20s or whatever, you're going to have a ton of friends because you all like to go out and party and you like to go to bars and all that stuff. And you don't need them to show up for you in any type of real way. But as you get older, a lot of those convenient friendships fall off. You're not doing the same things anymore, but you're also going to find that people don't either want to grow up or they don't want to show up for you in those types of ways. And it's okay for you to grow out of friendships and relationships.
I mean,
and stuff
obviously,
like that.
I believe the children are the future. You
Yeah,
treat them well
obviously, yeah.
and let them lead the way.
Yeah. And we should jail the olds.
Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
Isaac, do you have an
Give them a
example of a
sense.
time that you didn't think you should apologize? Maybe we could work that out.
Oh, I'm going through it right now.
Okay. Can you give us deets?
Is it too personal to share?
I'm going to share the story on my podcast, so I don't think it's too personal to share.
Okay,
here.
great.
Yeah,
It
great.
involves my podcast and my mother.
Okay.
So
Oh, right.
I do a series called Would You Rathers. I'm not plugging my show, but I did a Would You
Plug
Rather.
your show. What's your podcast called?
It's called The Isaac Abrams Show. It looks a lot like this show, but it's just different people.
It's in the same place. Where can they find that? Can they find that on Apple and Spotify?
Everywhere.
Do you have a website?
I do not.
Okay.
Wow.
It's youtube.com/The Isaac Abrams Show.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
I did a Would You Rather that was, would you rather watch your parents have sex?
Okay.
Or would you rather have the whole world watch your parents have sex?
Okay, I'm familiar.
So my mom has been blocked on all my social media channels. She's very religious. So to protect her, I changed my name and I blocked her from all my social media.
Okay.
She made a burner account. She found my social media. She thinks that Would You Rather is specifically about her, and she's devastatingly embarrassed. She wrote me a 4-page letter about it.
No, she took it really personally.
She took it absolutely personally.
And she doesn't understand the nature of what we do, right?
She doesn't understand that.
That it's not about anybody.
It's not about her. It's not about your parents, my parents. It's not
Yeah,
about her
it's the
specifically.
idea.
Yes. So she thinks that the entire church has watched my show and I'm much more famous than I am. And she's embarrassed.
You're like, Mom, if you could get the church to watch my show,
Yeah,
that would
it would
be
help us a lot.
amazing.
No shit. So she laid out the terms of my apology for me, and the way that she will receive them is only by phone call. I cannot make any excuses or justifications, and I can only say I'm sorry. Any other terms mean she will hang up the phone.
That is a trap.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't allow you to be a human. Here's the thing. I had a very similar situation with my own parent, my mother, and something happened, and 4 years went by, and we didn't speak. And I was in Hawaii, drunk out of my mind, doing Hawaii 5-0, wearing Batman mask and looking in the mirror.
Is that the only thing
We're all
you
my
It
remember?
was
deep
one of
thoughts
those
happen.
days. And I was like, you have to call her right now, and just no matter what happens, you have to apologize.
Wait,
because
real question.
It's the only way forward.
Was the Batman mask part of the Hawaii 5-0?
No, I was really drunk when
You
I was
just had your
packing.
own.
No, I overslept, and then I got to Hawaii and had like 6 belts, 2 pairs of shoes that didn't match, 1 pair of shorts, jeans, like everything, and this Batman mask and cape. And I had it on I was staying at the Hawaiian Village, Hilton Hawaiian Village, looking out over the ocean, thinking about how my life is, how good it is, wearing this Batman mask and sunglasses.
And that's it.
And then I went to the mirror and stared at myself, and I'm like, call your mother, and no matter what it takes, you apologize to her, because your relationship ultimately is about her. I mean, it's about you, because you're going to survive well. You're supposed to survive past your parents, and you need to know that you've done everything that you possibly can to salvage that relationship. And I think it's probably the only relationship in your life where you just have to bite it and just do what you're asked. And maybe it's not her realm to understand, or her role in your life to understand that it's not about her, that it is your job. Like, my dad saw Jim Jeffries special and was like, I'm gonna have to fight him. I'm like, no, it's his job to make fun of me. He is a comedian. It's actually not about me. It's about the idea of me. He loves me.
Yeah.
But you can't explain that to somebody who's not willing to have it. And I will just tell you, if I could give you any advice, you just have to do what she asks. And knowing that you're right, knowing that it wasn't meant to wound. And because if she's hardlined you, it's the only way forward. You don't want years to pass and this turn into a thing. Because a callus can build up over this stuff, and you actually forget the original feelings, and you're just mad.
Yeah, and I guess the question is like, what does it harm you if you apologize for this, even if you're really not sorry? Obviously, it's like because there's no reason to be sorry.
I am sorry that she feels pain.
Yeah,
I am sorry that she feels embarrassment. I'm not sorry for making that content. Right. I thought about it when I put it out. I was like, this might be a little over the line if someone finds it from back home, but she's already. I feel like separately, I think she moves the goalpost. Like, if I apologize for this, she's going to tighten the noose a little bit more and find something else. Her and my sister don't speak, so like she just keeps clinging on to her religion and her church as a way to like push us out of her life.
It's such a crutch. I mean, we talk about Scientology and things like that, and we're able to look at that as perceived as a cult, right? A lot of people perceive Scientology as a cult, any new religion as a cult. The difference between a cult and a religion is time. Because it becomes accepted over time, right? It becomes part of the traditions. Anything that would take your family away from you is not something that has your best interest at heart, especially if it's your child. But if you're hardlined by somebody who has these profound beliefs and you still want to keep them in your life, the only way forward is to subjugate yourself in that way and be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I think that opens the door to then later be like, I just want you to understand, as your son, after these feelings have softened, this was the thing. It really was not about you, but I am so sorry that you took it so personally and that it hurt you. I'm sorry that you got hurt by it, but my intent wasn't thinking about you at all. Wasn't thinking about even the idea. It was the idea of parents. And also, you work in the entertainment business, and it's our job to be line crossy. Actually, there is no line in comedy. Either you like it or you don't. Yeah. Either it's for you or it's not.
I presumably you don't make up all your would you rathers. Is there a website you could send her where it's like, these are examples of would you rather? Like, maybe you apologize and you go, look, this is how bad they get.
Tell her I had to have sex with Saddam Hussein that one time. Remember, fuck, marry, kill.
Or
Saddam Hussein, Hitler.
we could do that would you rather right now, and you could send her a clip of this and be like, see, this is everybody's doing this question.
That's what I'm mourning the most, is that I don't have a parent that I could logically explain something to and have her be like, oh, I didn't understand that, my bad. Like, it's just she's already decided her stance on it, and she won't allow herself.
And I understand that feeling. I do understand that feeling. But the thing is, as grown-ups, we have to understand that even our parents, even the people that can't sometimes. If you expect somebody to give you something that they're incapable of giving you, at some point it becomes pissing in the wind. And you need to find out, if the goal is to navigate that relationship as best you can, sometimes you have to, and I think really this is only this kind of relationship, a parent-child relationship. There has to be some give and take in a way that we don't have in other relationships, because you can never get away from these people unless you want to completely sever those relationships.
Yeah, and I mean that's also the question of, do you want to continue the relationship like that? And it's fair. I'm not necessarily you, but when people have really, really difficult relationships with their parents, I think there are a lot of cases that to be made for going no contact with parents that that refuse to understand you.
But
or
only the
refuse
child
to-
knows that.
Yeah, exactly. So
you can't be told it by anybody else. Only you know when enough's enough. And actually, in any relationship in your life, like we can give advice and get advice all day long, but only you know when your heart changes. Only you know when, like, I can't go down this path with you anymore. And my feeling is with parents, until you get to that point, for me, I will do everything I can to salvage it, to make it better. And until I get to a place where my heart changes and I no longer can continue being happy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an individual decision, and it's like if the goal is to continue to foster that relationship, then I would say you just bite the bullet and you go, hey, I'm sorry. Like that had nothing to do with you, but I understand that you felt embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a follow-up question that you guys answer on the Patreon?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like apologizing is an admission of, like, an acknowledgement of her belief that I'm wrong.
Okay.
And the reason I haven't apologized yet is because I don't want to give her that. I
You
don't
feel
wanna
like if you give her
agree.
an inch, she's going to take a mile.
No, I feel like if I say I'm sorry, she's going to be like, I was right.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and we will deal with this on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Are we out of time here?
Yeah.
We're at 45.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Kelly has some things to say to you that always mesmerize me.
Check us out on the Patreon, patreon.com/loadedpod. You can find our socials at loadedpod, or send us an email for any of these deep convos, probably loadedpod@gmail.com. We will see you next week.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
And tune into your favorite podcast.
Where things will be misquoted.
And opinions ain't sugar-coated.
'Cause DJ and Kelly are locked and probably loaded.